Um, Thanks everybody for joining us. Oldspeake is really excited to launch this Ideas for Breakfast series. We'll be doing these monthly, and Adriana is our very first guest, so we're very grateful to her for helping us kind of kick this off and make it happen. So Adriana Cowdin is our guest today. She's the CEO of Dekaf Digital. I am Despi Ross, and I lead marketing at Oldspeake. We are going to kind of quick hit talk about what's happening with digital advertising right now, and as digital marketers, how we can think about how web is supporting our effort, and how we can be strategic in what we're doing with digital advertising in this kind of weird time when nobody quite knows what to do. Everybody's asking each other, what are you doing and what's working? So Adriana is here to kind of share some insights with us today about that.
Yeah, great.
So maybe we can just jump right in and talk about, one of the things I was really interested in talking about is all the different potential places that retailers are in, or digital advertisers are in right now, where they might be cutting spend, or they might be kind of holding and keeping their plan steady, and like everything in between. What are you seeing kind of out there, and what's common about what people are doing right now?
Yeah, so even factoring in the pandemic, almost every category is seeing an increase in spending. So social seeing an increase of about 9 or 10%, online video seeing an increase of about 5%, online display 2 or 3%, and then search 1 or 2%. Just to give kind of a relative to what that looks like pre-pandemic, we should see an increase between 12 and 20%. Mm-hmm. So although all of the digital ads are up, they're not as high as they would have been if we hadn't had the pandemic. The good news is that online conversion rate is up about 8 or 9% in Q1, which, if you look at that, that's like Cyber Monday rates. So conversion rate is going up like skyrocketing. So for the dollars that are being spent, they're getting utilized really, really well. So conversion rate is going through the roof. And if you look at the buy online keyword search volume, it's gone up 27,000 searches globally month over month for the last 2 months, which shows that consumers are ready to shop and ready to buy online. So for retailers, now is really a good time to invest in those buy online keywords. And a recent study I was reading said that 24% of shoppers will not be ready to go back to the malls for the next 6 months. So really now is the time to be looking at that digital advertising play. And when you look at who's spending more, if it's in-store or online, another survey I looked at, this one was by Engine, recently found that people are spending between 10 and 30% more online. So some stores are doing a good job of capitalizing on this in unique ways. West Elm, I'm not sure if you've seen what they've done, but they've come out with some work from home virtual backgrounds. And although those are free, with all the people on Zoom right now, that's a really great way to get traffic to their store and capitalize on getting new people that they can eventually monetize and advertise to.
It's a good idea to say, hey, this virtual room could be your actual room.
Yes, exactly. And to showcase their pieces of furniture, right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
I mean, it was a really creative idea. I know one of our clients, which is a top 5 home improvement store, they've seen their e-commerce go up 700% month over month. I mean, just significant. And their investments are in SEO and PPC. And then Bissell, the steam cleaner company, they decided to host some online sessions about how to do steam cleaning. and they saw increases in their steam mop sales of 500% month over month from that type of investment. And they were really more of a traditional TV advertising company. Mm-hmm. So they shifted their TV dollars into these online video sessions.
Do you think that sort of shift will hang around? Do you think people are learning things that are informing long-term strategies, or do you feel like this is really kind of a short-term addressing the situation?
I think that it's informing long-term strategies. I think that when you look at these companies, they're not only informing long-term strategies, but they're gaining subscribers that they can then continue to monetize long-term. So, for example, in Nike, Nike took off their NTC premium service. They stopped the subscription fees for it, right? So I think that long-term, they'll turn back on the subscription service fee. But now they've got more customers that they can monetize, that they can charge subscription fees for. They won't keep all of the people that were free in that model.
Right.
But they'll be able to monetize some of them. They'll be able to retarget some of them. They'll be able to do email marketing to some of them. They'll be able to do display advertising. They'll be able to upload those and use a pixel for them. So I think it's turning into long-term advertising. Mm-hmm. And I think it's informing those long-term decisions. And, you've got to look for new opportunities, really. This is a new marketplace entirely.
Right.
Really, for those spending, for those that are already spending in the PPC and online areas, social and online display, ad spends are kind of down across the board if you're spending under $1 million. For those spending over $1 million, they're up by about 5 or 6%. But for those spending under $1 million, ad spends are down across the board, with one exception, which was beauty and fitness. It's up by about 30%. So it's hitting everybody.
Yeah. Do you think that shift in spending is mostly a reaction to nervousness about the market condition, or do you think that it's reflecting consumer behavior?
I think it's nervousness about the market. Mm-hmm. Because if you go back to some of those previous stats I mentioned, consumers are searching more for buy online. They're searching more for shop online. They're spending more when they shop and buy online. And they're actually buying more online. So it's not a reflection of consumer behavior. So it shouldn't be a reflection of advertiser behavior. But I think it's nervousness. And I think it's also a reflection of some retailers just don't know how to make the conversion. We have one client who's got 700 boutiques around the country that, shocking to us when we went to work with them during the COVID crisis, was not capable of doing buy online, pick up in store. I mean, we couldn't even believe it, but they just weren't capable of doing it. And they weren't going to be capable until Q1 of next year. They just couldn't get it working fast enough. Yeah. So I think it's it's less the consumer and more of the companies.
Yeah. It's interesting to see so much conversation happening right now, amongst marketers kind of professionally, and also just within companies, like from the website side, we're definitely hearing from folks who are having these infrastructure problems and trying to quickly solve them.
Yeah.
It's a difficult position to be in, certainly not insurmountably.
No.
But it's definitely a lot of hustle right now trying to improve that user experience, make things more mobile friendly, offer, these kinds of local pickup, local delivery type of services that, were nice to haves 4 to 6 months ago and are like have to haves right now. From the website side, like a lot of the stuff that you're talking about, I think it makes so much sense for advertisers to continue investing in these channels because they are working. And I think this contraction that's happened in some companies or even in some industries, I think will reverberate for a long time after this ends.
Yes.
People don't realize how much momentum they lose when they aren't consistent with their marketing effort, whatever that effort is, and
Yeah.
contraction. It's not just a matter of like turning the dial back up and turning everything back on. And similarly, I think people are kind of having a reckoning with the overlooked aspects of their website experience, right? So it,
Yeah.
one of my biggest pet peeves is when you click through an ad and it does not take you to the product that you were seeing.
Oh, the worst user experience ever. It happened to me the other day, and I was like, what is this? And as a marketer, as a digital marketer, you just want to pull your hair out. I want to call that company and be like, listen, we can help. This is
Yes.
killing you.
Yes, like you have just thrown away, the
Your
dollar,
dollars.
the 15 cents or whatever you paid for me to click on that thing. You just threw it away because, now you've left it up to me to search your site and find that thing, remember what it was and all that. And there's so many ways that your website infrastructure could help you do that better.
What about slow speed?
Oh, I know. Especially mobile. I think people underestimate this, and it's so easy over time for things to happen that compromise website performance. And
Yes.
not keeping an eye on that is it's easy for that to happen, but it impacts your search performance. Certainly it impacts your bounce rate, your conversion rate ultimately, because if you are
Oh, yeah.
serving ads, people are clicking through and it takes 3 or 4 seconds for your site to load. People just aren't patient enough. They'll just go to
I
the
think it's like if it goes from 2 seconds to 10 seconds, your bounce rate goes up 128%.
It's crazy.
It's insane. People they're all about what I call snackable content. They don't have patience anymore. It's the land of ADHD. Someone else is happy to do it better, faster, and easier.
We just had a comment that I don't think I would wait 10 seconds for a website to load. That would save my life.
Right? Seriously, no one will. That's a really good comment, Alan. No one's going to wait 10 seconds. That's why that bounce rate goes up 128%.
Yes. Yes, it's so crazy. So let's talk about the advertising strategies that you would recommend right now. Like if you were going to give, kind of some quick hits, if somebody's looking at their campaign strategy, what would you suggest?
Yeah. So here's a couple things. No one's immune to this. Like Google's total net revenue is going to be down like $29 billion. But that means with ad spend down, the cost of advertising is down. So one of the things I recommend is PPC. When you look at cost per click going down, it means it's a good time to get in the game if you're not in the game, or to increase your spend if you are in the game. There's a few caveats. Beauty and skincare, home and garden, and jewelry are 3 categories that are still a little at kind of the pre-COVID rates. So those are the only 3 industries I would say that you're still going to be paying pre-COVID rates. But otherwise, CPC is down. So now is a good time to get in the game or continue spending. The other thing is social media. A lot of people are spending more time on social media, up to 86% more week over week. And so now is a good time to be spending some funds on social media, whether that's increasing your organic social media strategy, spending money on a social media strategy if you don't have a strategy in place and you've just been kind of randomly publishing content without a strategy, or investing in social media ads, Instagram ads, Facebook ads, LinkedIn ads. And your strategy determines which one of those you do. Mm-hmm. And then remarketing. Utilize your list to remarket. I mean, that is some of the best stuff ever, because people aren't in tune. The average consumer isn't in tune with why they see your brand everywhere. They just think you're the biggest brand ever. They don't understand how remarketing works. So remarketing is a really good thing to do right now too.
And I think similarly on that note, that personalized content, there's so much opportunity for personalized content in that remarketing space, because we have the ability like never before to create unique web experiences, email campaigns, retargeting and advertising, and really show people what they're really interested in. And I think that sometimes advertising gets a bad rap because people feel like it's so impersonal. It's like in your face, but I think that when you're actually seeing content that's relevant to you, and people appreciate that and expect it, like they want to
expect it now.
What is relevant.
Yeah, that personalization is now more of an expected experience. And when you can invest in things like online reviews as well, it's much better, because the average consumer that's a female, 86% of social media buys are done by females, and they expect up to 5 customer reviews. Mm-hmm. And so when you look at that, you really want to invest in those customer reviews, whether they're Google reviews or Facebook reviews. That's a good place to invest. The other place is you can capitalize on the rise in media traffic. So a lot of people are reading news right now, particularly as we have an increase in COVID cases, and news outlets related to the constant stream of breaking news, and target those platforms. Whether you want to avoid being political, so target like a stream of them, but get your online advertising at a lower cost than you could before the coronavirus pandemic right now, and target those news medias.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really good advice. One thing I'll add on the website is thinking about, I was reading an article recently about, how you can kind of capitalize on all this traffic and, create the best online shopping experience. And a lot of people are seeing success with progressive web apps. So, creating an app-like experience on your mobile website experience. Yeah. So that's something to think about, kind of as a bigger strategy that kind of complements some of the things we're talking about with personalization and focused content. Okay, so we have a couple of minutes left. If you were going to give digital marketers advice on one thing they could do today that would impact their advertising strategy, what would it be?
I would say look for new opportunities. With new online habits, consumers are online at times that marketers have never considered targeting. So you may want to shift your advertising to times best suited for your audience that your competitors haven't figured out. Mm-hmm. Like right now, consumers and marketers are on times at breakfast times. Consumers are on time during lunch hour right now. So you don't need to wait to those traditional times when you think consumers are online anymore, after, kind of that after work time. Yeah. So shift your targeting hours and shift your advertising to times suited to your audience where your competitors just haven't figured it out yet. Yes. And then I would also say adapt to the new customer. Keep things digital and map out how your targeted audience lifestyle is changing. Back to that Nike example, consumers just aren't comfortable yet going to gyms, even though they're open. So be creative in how you're adapting to your customers' new lifestyle.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like you were saying earlier, it seems like that has some legs for longer term success too. It doesn't have to be just a quick hit kind of thing right now. There will definitely be ways that some of these changes in habits become more a part of our routines and our lives kind of long term, I think.
Right.
I would advise digital marketers to set aside an hour and look at every bit of creative that you're running right now. Maybe if you're running a ton, maybe you need more time than that. But look at that creative that you're running and look at those links that you're sending people to, and make sure that you're having an excellent experience when you're clicking on those links from that creative. And if you're not, then that is your hit list for what to do next, because there are so many easy to solve little problems that waste so much ad spend with broken links or links to the wrong landing page or links that aren't direct to product. And it seems like such a simple, basic thing, but the bigger your team is, the more opportunity there is for that stuff to kind of break down. And also just making sure that you're using the right UTMs to track what's happening with those ads. And those are the kind of tasks I think as leaders we tend to delegate. And that's okay, but I think keeping an eye on what's happening there and making sure that you're holding your team accountable for that, I think will help your overall performance and prevent some easy to remedy mistakes from happening. And they just happen, like we're all human and these things happen, but it's so easy to fix. So do it today. Any questions, attendee questions in the chat? I haven't seen any pop up.
I haven't either.
Okay. Well, thanks everybody who's attending live, and certainly everybody who's watching after the fact. Will be sharing this, and like I said, this will be a monthly series, so keep an eye out for future topics. I think we're going to dig into ideas kind of all across the spectrum of marketing and creativity. So we look forward to those future episodes. And thank you so much, Adriana, for helping us kick this off and for all the insights you shared. It's been really great.
Thank you.
All right. Have a great day, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.